You're listening to the Business Marketing Show, episode number 61. You can find us at businessmarketingshow.com, on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Hi everyone, this is Ed Keay-Smith from the Business Marketing Show, here with my co-host Brendan Tully, and we have a special guest on the show today, Charles McKay from Syncs. And we're going to be speaking with Charles about inbound marketing, which is one of the things his company specialises in, and also talking about the platform Hubspot, which Charles is a premium what would you call yourself, Charles? A premium?
Let's say implementer and strategist.
Premium implementer and strategist. Okay, I'll edit that in the take. So that was a fantastic introduction. So welcome, Charles, to the podcast.
Awesome, thanks, guys. Very, very grateful to be on the call with you guys, and I suppose I share my story a little bit and chat all things inbound marketing and HubSpot with you guys.
Sounds fantastic. So
we should probably say that it's not sinks as in bathroom sinks, but SYNX.
Yeah.
Sinks.
Don't worry, we'll have that.
That's right, and I suppose the name where that came from is I really like one of my personal core values is connecting people and connection. And when you look at the name Syncs, I was trying to find a four-letter word that you could sync people together. So I sort of made one up and called it Syncs.
Yeah, and why not?
Cool.
I know lots of big companies in the world that have made names up that didn't exist before, and now they're household words. So Syncs
exactly
could be one of those in the near future. So, mate, you and I met in Japan at the Netpreneur Summit. We were both presenting when we were both Australian, so we had a bit of a chat and had lots of similarities and viewpoints, and it was great getting to know you there. So, again, thank you for coming on the podcast. And I think a lot of the stuff that you like, you're quite a technically oriented person from our conversations, and so is Brendan. And it's a rare combination to have people who are personable and who are also technical. So that was a compliment to you as well, Brendan, just in case you're wondering. So
it's like a little underhanded jab there.
No. That was absolutely from the heart. Brendan,
I think I can totally relate, and I actually think now that a lot of these millennials and the younger guys are coming in, a lot of them are very technical as well. So it's a bit of a shift that the tech is no longer a technical geek; he's more of a technical person.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's critical to be able to impart the information about the technical stuff to your clients, because if you can't do that, you just have this complete disconnect between the two, and that's where you often get challenges. So you're based in Melbourne, as we've said, the other side of Australia. For those who are listening overseas, I'm in Perth, and we're going to call you Chuck from now on, Charles, because you've given us permission. That's a name you like to be called, Chuck. So from now on in the podcast, we're going to be calling you Chuck.
Perfect. Sounds good.
And I don't know what we'll call Brendan. We'll just call Brendan B. Awesome. I call him B. Well, hey B, and you can just call me Ed, because you can't really shorten that much, can you? So you're in Melbourne, and when did you start and set up Syncs? And the spelling for Syncs, we just want to make sure is, and the URL is synx.com.au. We'll have that link in the show notes. So when did you get started in this game, Chuck?
So it's a good question, really. I had an IT services company previously, and that was called simple name, Port Melbourne IT, and it was right in the middle of the cloud was coming into that space very heavily, and I was at a bit of a crossroad of do I invest in my own cloud or do I try Amazon or all the, and obviously, the Xeros of the world and all these cloud platforms were coming into play.
Yep.
So I decided that, I needed to evolve the business and not invest in huge infrastructure costs and look down the SaaS models. And through a series of, entrepreneurial events and networking, I quickly established that the biggest challenge that SMEs and even corporates have as well is that sales and marketing, alignment and platforms and, people as well.
Yeah.
So in sort of December 2014, I started looking around at what platforms existed. And then in March 2015, I said, right, I'm going to commit to the HubSpot platform. And then spent a good 6 to 8 months getting, going through the certifications, understanding the business process. So I had I'd rebranded the business support from Port Melbourne IT to Syncs in 2014, but reality, we only really launched in September last year.
Okay, fantastic. And so choosing HubSpot, there's a lot of competition to HubSpot, even though they are one of the largest, if not the largest of that type of SaaS product. How did you come about choosing HubSpot? Like, what did you find with the advantages compared to other systems?
Yeah, well, there was two parts to it. When I was going through looking at other platforms and who had done it well, I very closely followed the Xero story as well. And they're the ones that innovated, cloud accounting, and HubSpot were the ones that innovated, inbound marketing as per se. And so that was a main reason because, when you look at technology, if you jump on the bandwagon down the track, the people that started it, if they've got big enough pockets, will obviously be the innovators of the space. And then the other component of it as well was the founders were still in the business, and this is 8 years in, and they just recently IPO'd, and the founders are still there. So Brian and Dharmesh are still, actively involved in the business, and I think that's a massive part. And having a CTO as one of the founders as well, he's probably one of the smartest IT guys on the planet, I'd say. He's right up there.
Yeah.
And that was a major component. And then the other side of it, the competition, I'm not going to name them, but their platforms are older, some of them. They're going through tech debt stages as well. So, there's a lot of proprietary software that's been rewritten or potentially rewritten. And the beauty of HubSpot, it's built for a marketer. So it is user-friendly, which is very important today. Yeah,
absolutely. And hey, we're happy to name some of the others if you want us to, because people now are going to be wondering, what are the others? What are the others that they're not talking about? So
let's just take a step back. Let's define inbound marketing, because I bet you there's a whole bunch of people listening that don't really know what inbound marketing is. This term's thrown around a lot on the web. So let's talk about that for a minute. How would you define inbound marketing?
Sure. So inbound marketing is sort of like reverse engineering in marketing. So you build out what's called a persona. So that's, your ideal client. And when you build out the persona, it's literally your perfect client, everything you love about them. And then when you drill into that, you start looking at all of their goals, their plans, and then their challenges and frustrations within business and potentially personally as well. And what you do, you then put a content strategy in place for the 3 stages of your funnel. So the top, which is the awareness stage, the middle, and which is, the consideration stage, and then the bottom of the funnel, so your decision stage. And you start building out content to hopefully nurture people down the funnel with, thought leadership or, problem-based solution sort of online stuff that then hopefully people will search. And then ideally that once you start, generating content and getting people onto your website, the ones that are there, they actually, as you guys would know, people do so much research online when they're finding something. When they actually opt in, they're very well qualified. So when you get on the phone to them, instead of trying to pitch and, give your elevator pitch and your 30-second spiel, you just start, hopefully getting on the phone and saying, well, how can I help you? I see you've looked at this. What are the challenges you have in your business? How can we potentially help? So the conversation changes, and then the sales process actually changes as well. Because if you look at traditional sales, the sales guy, well, the buyer's in control now, and if you don't have enough, I suppose not ammo, but information on your prospective buyer, it's going to be really hard to help them. And that's the simplest way to, I suppose, articulate it. It's inbound, so it's someone approaches you, as opposed to outbound, where you either get on the phone or put a billboard up or a TV ad, for example, and throw your messages to the masses.
Yeah, great example. And I think the other way it's often referred to is push marketing and pull marketing. So and everyone's experienced push, with the cold calls or the knocking on the door or etc. So it is a much easier way to do business because, as you said, they're already sort of pre-qualified and a lot of the work's been done. So awesome.
Exactly.
So what is then, so how does HubSpot, so HubSpot is a software platform, so how does that fit in and what does that do? Or how does that grease the wheels of the inbound marketing process or system or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, sure. So once you've, put a strategy in place and built out your personas and obviously all the keywords and then, the campaigns for those, the top, middle and bottom of the funnel, you then, you load that into the platform and then start building out the content. So, and this takes, a fair amount of time, but as you start getting people coming into your platform, you'll then start to understand who these people are. So, you can, within the platform, you can track from a Facebook click through to a customer. So, let's say you're getting tons of leads from Facebook, but are they actually, turning into customers, or are they what I sort of call a tire kicker? So you can really, focus on, when a lead comes in, if they're not ready to be spoken to yet, you put them in a nurturing campaign. And then if they, show interest or opt back into an assessment, then, you jump onto them as soon as you possibly can, obviously. But within the platform, you've got a series of sales tools, marketing tools, and then what's called the COS. So the COS is like a replacement of a WordPress platform. And then within the marketing platform, you have landing pages, forms, calls to actions, then the marketing automation. And then a really powerful part is the actual, the database. So you can start building out the database to as custom as you want, for whatever forms that you're going to have on your site. You might want a question of, what my biggest, marketing challenges or what my biggest sales challenge is, and you have a drop-down list. And then you can build nurturing campaigns off that. So it's extremely powerful. The technology in the background is really, really powerful, yeah.
Very cool. What else, Brendan? You had a few questions about HubSpot when we were chatting earlier. So
yeah. So what sort of business? I mean, obviously there's a lot of different businesses and the marketing looks very different for different businesses. So what sort of business typically would have an inbound marketing strategy and could make use of these tools?
Yeah. So traditionally, HubSpot is very much focused at the B2B space. But as, things are evolving, it's becoming more H to H, so human to human. So as you guys have talked about, and we all talk about, people buy off people these days. And so you can apply it to a lot of businesses, but reality is, when you niche down into where HubSpot gets results and where inbound can get results, it is probably a more mature business. If you're a startup with no funding and you're a two-man shop, you wouldn't go and spend $10,000 to $15,000 on software. You would apply a lot of their methodology and use a lot of their free tools, which you can now nearly do all of this with some free tools they have as well. But yeah, so software platforms work extremely well. We've had some great success with traditional, like a painting company that's worked very well. Property works extremely well. Where if you're looking at e-com, either an extremely established e-com site, because this becomes a new channel for them, or a channel or a product where they're typically over about $150, I think it will work well. And then any products that have a longer sales cycle, so if your typical sales cycle is 3, 6, 9, or even 18 months, how do you put someone in a nice little nurturing campaign to keep in front of them over a period of time? So, yeah, the bigger ticket items is where the value proposition come into it a lot better. But you can apply it to most businesses.
And does it replace like something like Salesforce or like a traditional CRM, or is it like in conjunction with that, or does it work alongside that?
Yeah, so they have their own CRM now, which is actually a free product, and I see that's capable of handling up to 50 maybe to 100 employees, depending on how complex the sales processes are and also hierarchies. But they have direct integration and a completely direct integration with Salesforce. You can integrate with Microsoft Dynamics, most other CRMs as well, and some you might have to go through a third party like Zapier.
Yep.
But when you apply, your website, your marketing automation, and CRM all into one connected database, the insights and personalization you can do is pretty powerful.
Do you have some examples, like in terms of personalization, or because I guess like people are coming, like a lot of people are probably coming from nothing, right? Or some very basic systems or spreadsheets or kind of dumb CRMs.
Yeah. So when the one thing I like to say is the guy now with the most data generally wins, and that can be per person in your database as well. So part of the building out when you implement like a HubSpot, you want to start capturing as much information from your database as possible. So then let's say you have an industry name or maybe a certain company size. So when someone comes onto your website, you could have that field as being personalized on the site. So, I could say, welcome back. If you want to get really creepy, I could say, welcome back, Ed. I can see you're from internet marketing. How can I help you? That would be a little bit too big brotherish. But you can even go to the level of, device type, location, country even. So you can do languages as well. So you can get quite granular with it. But it's like a lot of these things, I advise most people to start very basically and just move your way into it because there's so much you can do, but you need to, like what the guys on another podcast talk about, is test and measure. You've got to test and measure, see what works, get the data to track that, and then make a cool decision and go on and do the next thing.
Very cool. So for someone listening, as a starting point, where would you suggest starting? Like what's step one if they're like interested in kind of going down this rabbit hole?
Yeah, sure. I would, if you were to have a look at some basic free tools they have now, like if you don't have a CRM within your business, then 100% I'd be jumping on the HubSpot CRM. It's really basic to use. It's built for a salesperson, which, I'm not saying salespeople are basic, but they have short attention spans, maybe generally. And then they have another couple of free tools as well, which has just been rebranded, but it was called Lead-In. So, you could put a form or like an exit banner on your site to be a lead capture.
Yep.
And that's a nice little free tool. And then what I think even Ed started looking at is they have some sales tools, which is a basic point of entry. So you can build, basic sales templates, some, what they call a sales sequence, and even a meeting booking tool that will all integrate into your CRM as well. And that's, I think it's $50 US a month for each sales rep. And then what would happen, because HubSpot's obviously quite smart, they would then start nurturing you into all their other products.
Do you use HubSpot? Are you using any of these tools, Ed?
I've literally just started using the one that Chuck was talking about. What is it called? Sales?
Yeah, so HubSpot Sales.
HubSpot Sales, HubSpot Sales. So I've only literally just started using it, so I couldn't really give a comment. But I've used the basic version of it connected with my email system before, and yeah, it's very good. It lets you keep a close track on open rates and who's reading emails and when they're looking at proposals or etc.
Oh, yeah, I'm just looking at it now because we use what do we use? Capsule CRM, and it's pretty basic. So
yeah, and there's another really cool plugin, which is a Google Chrome plugin as well. So let's say you're browsing on a website, and you're like, oh, these guys are a nice fit to me. You could literally click on it, see all the information, and then add it to the CRM, and then HubSpot, being pretty smart, will go and push that data straight into the HubSpot CRM. So there's not even any key entry. So I think they worked out the maths for a traditional sales guy that's prospecting can take him 10 minutes to source a lead. Yep. With this, you could get 10 leads within 10 minutes. Now, obviously, the way you approach those people once they're in your system, I wouldn't recommend doing just blast emails to them. Yeah. But there's some pretty smart ways you can try and get in front of those people now.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. So what were you using before, Ed?
What was I using before? Yesware, I think, was something similar that I was using. And then I switched over from that because they were making changes and they kept putting the prices up, and it just seemed like the HubSpot sales was more advanced. So
And the other thing that's really cool about the CRM is the pipeline. So, you might create a couple of pipelines depending on what products or services you have with your business, but it's very visual. So if I look at traditional CRMs, they might have a 20% chance, an 80% chance, and then you've won it. But when you start building out your pipelines in HubSpot, you actually, if it doesn't make sense to the business, what's 80% mean? What's 20% mean? It's all discretionary to the sales rep. So you start looking at what's the sales process and where is the buyer in that sales process, and then off the back of that, you can also trigger automation to send information to that prospect as well.
Pretty cool.
Awesome.
So is there, do you think a business needs to be at a certain revenue amount to be using these tools? What are your thoughts there?
It does depend on, if you look at a software as a service company or, a SaaS company, depending on the size of that, some of those businesses potentially don't even have any staff. Some and can be doing decent revenue. From my point of view, when we've had the best success is when the business wants to grow. They've got a clear vision and they understand the outsourcing model as well. The more control you give to that person, generally the better, because it doesn't slow things down as much. But if you look at it, basic revenue, it'd be the 2 to 5 million you'd probably want to be starting at. But the basic tools, if I was a startup tomorrow, with nothing, I would instantly turn on the CRM. I'd get all of my contacts out of Google, out of LinkedIn, and load them in and go, right, where's some low hanging fruit for me to present my product to, and then you would track those deals, and that would be 100% free. So that's sort of now built that lower tier market, the entry level market where they've got some tools to really help those guys as well. Yeah. And then you can go up to enterprise. The platform, although HubSpot don't say it's for enterprise business, the marketing automation, I don't really see any limitations to it really.
Yeah. How does it? Okay, so this might be a tricky question, but how does it compare to something like Infusionsoft? Because I used to have 2 different Infusionsoft instances for 2 different businesses that I'm involved with. And it wasn't a great experience, especially at the price point.
Sure. With Infusionsoft, I think if you look at their value proposition, it's definitely focused on the smaller business, so the 1 to 2 man shop, or a gym, or a beauty therapist or something like that, where you can sort of have a couple of pipe lead funnels set up and have that automated. I think where HubSpot definitely differs is it's looking at the bigger ticket items as well. the usability. Like Infusionsoft has a bit of a nickname getting around.
I'll say Confusionsoft.
Yeah, it can be quite confusing to use. And yeah, like, because I have looked at Infusionsoft, and from my point of view, when I'm quite technical, I found it quite difficult to use as well. So yeah, I think their value proposition is, we will double your leads from not many to maybe 5, and that's probably the difference. And then the other main difference would be you have lots of staff on HubSpot. With Infusionsoft, it'll get really complex having lots of staff, I would have thought, on it.
Yeah. We tried at the time. We tried to set up some pipeline stuff in there and just some lead tagging, and it was just horrible. It was a whole lot of work. They didn't really do anything. We're just like, this isn't really working for us. And then there were some other limitations on the platform that.
Yeah, and the other bit is as well with HubSpot, because it's the full funnel, so the top, middle, and bottom of the funnel. A lot of the competition focus on the marketing automation, but HubSpot do the top, middle, and bottom of the funnel. And then, you can integrate with lots of platforms now, so your Shopify's and WooCommerce and Magento's, etc. And then to service platforms and
Yeah. Very
Fantastic.
cool, yeah.
So you guys are premium partners with HubSpot, and there's in Australia, there's not many of those at the moment, I believe. So you had to go through quite a lot to get sort of certified, for want of a better word. So what's the advantage in using someone who's a premium provider as opposed to someone else who's using HubSpot? And yeah, I mean, everyone has who supplies HubSpot as a service, they have to be authorized to do it. Is that correct?
Yeah, so you have to, if you want to become an agency, you've got to go through their certification process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like anything. You look at any partnership or partner model out there, it really depends on the goals of what your business is trying to achieve as well. But the more you use a platform or the more clients you use it with, generally the more experience you have, and generally the more difficult conversations or challenges you have when it comes to the implementations as well. So they're the main reasons. And, it's like anything, the 10,000 hour rule. The more you use it, the more, I suppose, proficient you get in it. But I think one thing I did note down in this is it's not really about the technology at the end of the day. It's more the process or the methodology that HubSpot has implemented. So the inbound marketing methodology. You need to put the process in place before you buy the technology. The technology is not going to actually do it for you.
Yeah. Good point.
And they're the two massive components. It's the methodology first, and then change management twice, or the second point. So, if you've got a CEO or a founder that has got this huge visionary mindset, but his, staff are old school and don't want to change, then there's going to be that disconnect. And, once you get the methodology right, and then you have a strategy, and then let's apply the technology to that methodology and strategy, and then let's align the team all so we're on the same page. That's when you get the best results, without a doubt.
Yeah, I was having that exact conversation with someone the other day, and they're a real estate agent / property management company, and they basically had a lot of staff leave because they were trying to implement a lot of new things, and it was actually with HubSpot, and it had nothing to do with HubSpot. It was just that these guys were old school and didn't want to change, didn't want to adapt. So Yep. So they said, no, we're not doing that. We're not changing. And these are all sales guys, just to be clear. Like we're, picking on sales guys again. Everyone's a salesman at some stage or another. So, but
exactly. And I love that sales side of things now. Like coming from a technical background where I didn't do too much of it, but I love the sales side of it. And I can understand why people do. Probably have a go at salespeople too, but I think, without them, no one would have a job.
That's it. Nothing happens until the sale is made. So you can talk about all you like, but you've this ultimately at the end of the day, this is what all this stuff is about: is getting clients and managing and looking after and growing and building that from there. So awesome. So
go ahead.
Sorry,
And I was just going to say, and that's the big part about it. Like, when it comes to getting a business leads, and I hear it a lot that, but they're crap leads. It's like, okay, well, why are they a crap lead? So then you can look at the data and find out why. But then, when you get an ideal lead, that someone is actually following it up and taking ownership of it, and so that's where also HubSpot are talking about it now, the sales and marketing alignment, or they call it smarketing. Getting everyone on the same page. Yeah.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Anything else, Mr. Brendan?
No, that's pretty much it. That's really all I had. I was just, I don't really know much about inbound marketing, so that for me is a great primer.
I think a really good thing with, you look at any business, and a really amazing business coach that I've used in the past, he talks about having a certain number of channels of generation of leads, whether that's referrals, word of mouth, BNI, inbound marketing, outbound marketing, cold calling, whatever they are. But you really need to then work out which channel is actually working today. And especially online, like I could give you, I think there's 162 channels that you can use now online. But then which one of those 162 is actually driving sales? Don't worry about leads. What ones are actually converting into revenue? And that's, remove all of the noise. That's what you want to know as a business owner. What is actually driving revenue to my bottom line?
Yeah, exactly. So you've got that in the list, do you? 162.
I do. I actually do. Yeah.
Oh well, we'll have to get that off you, if you don't mind. We can share that with the listeners if that's all right with you.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's growing too at a pretty rapid rate.
Absolutely.
New platforms coming out all the time, but yeah, I can definitely share that.
Thank you very much. And you've just come back from the big HubSpot event that happens every year called Inbound. Is that right? You've just been to the US for that?
Yeah, so I was there last week. So they have a 4-day conference every year, and about 19,000 people were there this year.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
19,000. That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was amazing. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, he opened the event, so it was really cool to see him in person.
Yeah, Gary V, like Gary V.
And then hundreds of breakout sessions, and thought leaders and comedians and all sorts of stuff, and then obviously networking and meeting people that I've sort of networked with and connected with around the world. So it was an amazing week. Yeah, lots of fun, lots of learning, and lots of cool stuff to see as well, what's sort of predicted in the future and what's been happening in the past. And very cool.
Yeah, awesome. And lots of partying and going out late at night, of course. I'm sure that happened, right?
Yeah, there's always a bit of that, definitely.
Yeah. It's hard getting up the next morning to go and actually sit and listen to this sort of stuff when you've just been out whining and dining and doing whatever. But I think I let the subconscious mind take over, and I just hope that it's absorbing something. Yeah, I operate the same way. So very good. All right. Well, look, we've been having a yak for about 30 odd minutes now. So unless there's anything else you would like to add, Chuck, we'll let you get back to your day and finish up.
I think from all of these things, that my probably bit of advice would be you can't break it. you can't hurt anyone with this stuff. And then the other point of view is like fail quickly. On top of what I just said, fail quickly, and nothing is perfect. So get it out rather than trying to perfect it.
Good
because
words.
The longer that you're sitting there to try and get it right is what's that opportunity cost? You're better to get it out there and then adjust it. It's not like you're doing a TV ad where it goes live for 30 seconds and then it's done. Like that landing page or that ad will be there for a while, and you can just make it better.
Yeah. Test the measure. Yep. Test the measure.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Anything else you'd like to ask Chuck, Brendan, before we finish? Awesome. So, So if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way? We'll have this in the show notes, but what's the best email to get you on?
Yep, so my email is charles@synx.com.au. And yeah, absolutely reach out to me. Check out my website at www.synx.com.au. And yeah, here to help. And, if I can help someone along the way, that's what I really enjoy doing. At the end of the day, like I said at the start of the show, is my biggest values are helping and connecting people and growth as well. So if someone wants to challenge me, bring it on.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you very much for your time, Chuck. And we'll no doubt speak again down the track for updates on what's happening in the world of inbound marketing and HubSpot. So thanks for coming on the Business Marketing Show.
Awesome, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate it a lot.
Cheers.
Thanks, mate.
You've been listening to the Business Marketing Show. You can find us at businessmarketingshow.com on iTunes, SoundCloud and Stitcher.